speech is about. So first off, do not read off your slides. People tend to read directly from their PowerPoints because it's easier for them to present with their backs to the audience and read everything that they had planned to say off the PowerPoint slides. Although this is a scapegoat to memorize your speech, it does make your slide a crowded wordy mess. On your PowerPoint, it makes your speech incredibly boring to listen to. In doing so, you'll end up losing your audience attention before the end of the first slide. Don't do it! If you have a whole thing full of words, no one cares. They're going to hear you say it, then they're going to read it, and they're just going to think, is this done yet? Don't do it. Don't overuse bullet points. Don't not overuse bullet points. Only bullet the important points to remember what you were going to say in the first place, because too many bullet points will make your key points look nothing but trash. In fact, the term bullet points come from people firing guns at annoying presenters, according to Don McMillan. Does anybody want to look at this for 20 minutes, depending on the speech? I don't. Okay. Don't have a boring slide. If you have a big graph on your page that nobody else understands but you, and you're not even sure that you researched well enough to understand the slide yourself because you just got it off Google, just don't have it. Do not BS your speech. Don't procrastinate like I did. That's why I have a really bad, boring white background, because I did this at 1:30 last night. And you think I'm kidding. Know what you're talking about. If you don't know what you're talking about, then the audience won't care, because you'll just stand here and you'll just be reading off of whatever you copied off of Google, and it'll really make your instructor mad, because then he'll know that you totally plagiarize the entire speech, and then you fail, and nobody wants that. Practice, 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 because if you get up here and you're under time, you're still going to fail. And if you're over time, you might get points deducted, but if you practice at home, you're going to know exactly how long your speech is. And like I said, if you're not into it, the audience won't be into it, and that just leads for boring speech. In turn, don't make a fool of yourself, because the people in the class who enjoy speech class and enjoy listening to speeches will think you're a fool. The do nots of font size. Nobody can read that, including myself with a pair of prescription glasses this close to it. This also leads to not plagiarizing, because I copied this entire thing off an article. Don't worry, I cited it. It's called Pet Peeves on Annoying Speeches. Don't do it. Also, I'm just going to ignore that and not talk about any of it. Don't do that either, because if you put something on your speech, talk about it. The do nots of font size. Again, not necessary. You can fit so many important things on your page, but if your font's too big, just add another slide. Also, unnecessary movement. If you sit up here and you do this, and you tap, if you're on a table or a podium and you tap something the whole time, it just gets annoying. Dressing improperly for your speech. If you show up in like sweatpants and a t-shirt, like what's the point? If you're dressing up in like jeans and a t-shirt, like Liz, she came in a tie-dye t-shirt and she gave a tie-dyed speech. Totally cool. He's in his wrestling uniform. Awesome. Make it relevant. But if you're just giving a speech like, nice shirt, good pair of jeans, just don't look tattered. You're cool. Don't stand up here and use fillers, because like it just won't capture the audience's attention, because it makes you sound really uneducated. Teach yourself, people. It's possible, I promise. Okay, not look at the audience. Like I just did, I stood here and I fiddled with this little clicker because I've never used one before, and I thought it wasn't going to work. And if you give your entire speech reading off a piece of paper like this, nobody's going to care, because you're not making any connection with your audience. Connect with your audience. It's important. Don't talk too fast, because if you talk really fast during your speech, nobody's going to understand what you said in the first place, and then what's the point of giving a speech after all? But don't talk really slow either, because it gets really, really boring. And hold on a second, I gotta take this. Hello? Yeah, I can talk. What's up? Oh no, I'm just giving a speech in speech class. Yeah, it's on how not to give a speech. Yeah, okay, all right, bye. Don't have distractions! Even if your phone is sitting there because you're timing yourself like I am, it's gonna ring and it's gonna vibrate and it's gonna make noise, and not only are you gonna be distracted, but the guy sitting in front of you is gonna get distracted from it as well. You don't need it, I promise. Picture overload. It annoys me so much when all people do are have pictures on their slides. Especially irrelevant pictures, like the guy from the office saying I changed all my passwords to incorrect, so whenever I forget it, it'll tell me your password is incorrect. Or a picture of this really cute husky, because I have a husky and I thought it was cool. And that's a sloth. Sloths are pretty chill. Cats getting married. Who doesn't love cats? Just don't do it. Just stop. Think about what you're putting on your PowerPoint, because if you just have meaningless stuff to cover space, it doesn't look good. If all you got is like 2 lines of words and a bunch of pictures to fill space, like, just educate yourself a little bit more. You've known about these speeches for how long? Okay, so back to some like good points on the do's of a speech. Have a purpose. According to the North Carolina Chapel Hill, once you decide what your purpose is, you need to ask yourself 4 questions. What do you want the audience to learn or do? If you're making an argument, why do you want them to agree with you? If you already agree with you, why are you giving a speech in the first place? And how can your audience benefit from what you say? In turn, all of you, I promise, will have to give some type of speech in the future, and I'm just trying to give you some tips. Second, voice control. You need to know how to control what you're saying. You can't be too loud where it sounds like you're screaming at everyone the entire time, because that just gets annoying, or you can't talk really, really quiet, because then nobody will hear you and it's pointless listening to a speech anyways. Also, like I said, the rate, not too fast, not too slow. You can have pauses. Pauses are important in a speech. If you don't emphasize certain things, then nobody will learn. If you say, hi, I'm Leslie, and I'm giving a speech on how to give a speech. It is important to give a speech because you will need it in learning, how to give a good interview, how to make a good presentation for your boss. If you pause, it lets them think and say, oh, right, yeah, I'll have to do that one day, depending on my job. Also, have a nice outline. All of you have a mock outline in front of you, which I typed up. And according to Leslie Dawson, a community speech teacher, she says, a clean and organized outline is important to give the speaker a visual ease to glance down on. So rather than having everything typed out where you're very curious and just want to read off of your crutch, this gives you a list of points saying, oh, I can do it like this. This is my next topic. Let me talk a little bit about that. It makes you look more, it makes it look easy. It makes it like a really good connection between the audience and yourself because you're just having a conversation with you. That's all. If I'm standing up here talking, I'm still going to say the same thing if, Liz and I were outside talking about, hey, what should I not do in my speech? I'm trying to make a connection with each and every one of you rather than just reading off a paragraph that I typed the night before. And confidence. If you don't stand up here with confidence, then why are you giving the speech? If you're passionate about what you're talking about, you need to be confident in yourself. I will never forget Christian Piles' speech the first day of class. Because he came up here and he poured his heart out. And he was confident in what he was saying. And that's very, very important. So that is my speech on how not to and kind of how to give a good speech.